Welcome to a travel back in time with your host, Ann Kerr.
Good morning. Today we have a very special guest. Some of you may know her as Frank Thompson, but she is no other than Sarah Edmonds. The reason for the confusion is Sarah disguised herself as a man by the name of Frank Thompson in order to fight in the Civil War. Please welcome Sarah Emma Edmonds.
Thank you for having me on the show, Anne. I am very excited to be here.
No problem, but let's get started, shall we?
We shall.
Now, when and where were you born?
I was born in December of 1841 in Nova Scotia, Canada.
And how old are you?
I am 20 years old.
How did you end up fighting for the Union in the Civil War?
I was a nurse, but then the spot opened for a soldier, and I wanted to fight for the Union. They wouldn't let me enlist as a woman, so I disguised myself as a man, by the name of Frank Thompson.
And why do you feel you're important to history?
I was a nurse and soldier for the Union, all disguised as a man. I contributed just as much as the other men, not to mention I was a spy for the Union during the Civil War.
Very interesting. But you know what? Let's grab some tea and coffee and take this interview outside.
Sounds good.
Now that we have our coffee and tea, let's continue.
Okay.
What are your views on slavery, and what do you feel makes this war so important?
As a Northern girl, I believe that slavery is wrong and it needs to be abolished. As for my views on the Civil War, I think that is terribly cruel. We are one nation and we need to start acting like one. We all live in the United States together, so I feel that the North and the South need to agree on a compromise together.
That was very moving, and I can't agree with you more. What is your experience like being in this war?
Well, being disguised as a man is quite interesting. But as for my experience, it was very interesting fighting for the Union, as well sneaking into the Confederates' campsite to retrieve information to bring back to the Union.
Wow, so being a spy must have been so interesting. Do you have any stories that you can share with us about that?
Well, prior to my first mission, I disguised myself as a black man in order to work in the Confederacy. I started off working on ramparts with fellow Negroes, but after my first day, my hands were so blistered that I had to convince someone to switch jobs with me. It was so horrible. I learned so much about the Confederate Army during the time I was there.
That must have been interesting being seen as a black man and everyone thinking you're a Confederate. But really, you were a spy for the Union.
Oh, it was.
What do you feel you miss most about life before the war?
I would have to say I miss being myself. Not having to disguise as a man all the time, but also my mother. I miss her very much. She was the one who got me to where I am today.
It must be so hard without her.
You can't even imagine.
It got a little windy outside, so we had to come back in. But let's continue with our questioning. What do you think is in the future for our country and yourself?
I believe that our country will be able to work through this and we can reunite as one. As for slavery, I do believe that it will be abolished. In my future, I'm hoping to return to Canada, find love, and start a family.
Well, I hope we end this war soon so you can return home. What do you think the Civil War will change in you and our country?
For me, I think that it will make me a stronger person. And thankful for being able to serve in the Union proudly. For the country, I believe that it will show everyone that we need to get along and decide on things together without having to go to war all of the time.
That sounds like a great dream for our country.
Thank you so much for taking your time off to be here today.
Thank you for having me, Anne.
I wish you the best of luck with the rest of the Civil War and in the rest of your life. We hope to have you back here soon.
Thank you, and I always admired your talk show, and of course, I'll be back soon.
Okay.
I wasn't. The other men.
Alright, now that we have our coffee and tea, let's continue.
Can you see? Woo! Or should we wait?
Or whatever the next one is. Ready? Cake line. And which way are we going?
Back in time.
See you later! Bye! Stop. And that was a travel back in time. See you later!